Hello and welcome to the Girl That Went For It podcast. I'm your host, Johanna Scholz, also known as Johanna Lian on Instagram, and author of Believe in Life, How to Dance in the Rain. If you want to live your dream life and become the best version of yourself, then this podcast is for you. I hope that I can inspire and encourage you to never give up and to always believe in yourself. Feel free to follow me on Instagram, Johanna_Liana, for daily content. And now enjoy this episode. Welcome back to this new episode. Today I am here with Yvonne. Yvonne is a travel blogger and her Instagram account is Lovely for Living. She also has a website where she shares a lot of travel tips. I'm going to take all her Instagram handle and her social media, that's the same, and her website in the show notes. We're going to talk about traveling alone, getting out of your comfort zone and listening to your intuition. And I hope you enjoy this episode, and let's go. Welcome, Yvonne, to this episode. I'm so glad to have you here today. We had a bit of a struggle when we started our episode, or actually how to catch up on Zoom, because as you guys know, I live in New Zealand and Yvonne lives in Hamburg, and we tried to connect, or however you call it, on Zoom, and I got the time difference wrong. So I was like, yes, I'm here, and then it was 2 hours later in Germany and whatnot, but we made it work, and here we are, and we're going to talk about a lot of different things today, but mainly about solo travel, traveling, overcoming fears, and so on. And Yvonne and I met 2018, probably the first email contact, because I was working with STA Travel. So as you know, I moved to New Zealand and I booked my flights through STA Travel because that's the company I booked my flights with the first time when I went to New Zealand, and I found that really good. So I decided to reach out to them again, and this time also for a social media corporation. And that's when I met Yvonne, and we kind of been in contact since then, since 2018. And we started following each other on Instagram, and now we are filming this episode like 5 years later. So yeah, welcome. And yeah, feel free to introduce yourself.
Yeah, well, hi. Thanks for having me. It's actually really, really nice to see your face after so many years, and after we did that collaboration together, which was super nice. So hi guys, I'm Yvonne. I'm 34 years old and I live in Hamburg. I'm a social media manager, a photographer, and a travel blogger. And Johanna and me share the same love for New Zealand.
So let's just start with New Zealand. So maybe we share a little bit of, when did you travel to New Zealand, or when did you realize your love for New Zealand?
Well, I did an exchange year in New Zealand when I was 16. So quite a while back. It was probably the biggest adventure of my life. Deciding to do a high school year when you are 15, and then preparing for that, and then traveling to the other side of the world while your family is at home. So that was a big challenge. And I lived down south in Dunedin for a year, went to school, actually a girls' school. And I had a pretty challenging, good, memorable time. And yeah, since then, New Zealand is kind of part of me and always my second home. So I always love to go back whenever I get the chance. That's maybe my connection to New Zealand.
How did you find, like, because 16, if I think back when I was 16, my English was so bad. How was yours, or how did you feel? Like, how were you anxious to go with the language and things like that? Or I feel like as well, you grow a lot out of an experience like that.
Definitely. My English was really, really, really bad because I'm such a talkative and communicative person. I usually learn languages via talking. But
Yeah.
in school, of course, you usually learn it more from the books, right?
Yeah.
So I actually almost failed class before I came to New Zealand. And yeah, so once I got there, I literally just dived in,
Yeah.
talked and talked and talked. I didn't really think twice about it. Um, I can imagine it to be quite challenging when you get into a new country and it's quite intimidating, especially because Kiwis have quite a strong accent.
Oh, yes, they're
And in the
mumbling a
beginning,
lot.
it's yes. And then you have to ask a couple of times and be like, excuse me, could you repeat that again? I didn't get it. But what I realized is that everyone was being super, super friendly and open-minded and really supportive. So whenever I made a mistakes, they tried to correct me and just supported me with like the language learning, which was really nice.
Yeah, awesome. Did you feel the same? I mean, you're now fluent in English, but I remember when I moved to New Zealand, and I mean, I had like basic English or like in school and stuff. So I just felt, because I'm also like a really talkative person, and I remember being in this group and they were all like Kiwis and they were talking so much. And I was more like the quiet person. And I was just like, this is so not me. Like, I wish I could just jump into the conversation and you're just sitting there and you're like, you guys don't even know my real me yet. Like, you know, and you're just like, ah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Mhm.
But as you said as well, like you just jump into like you learn but while doing, like while speaking, making mistakes. And that's the thing, I think like a lot of people are just so scared of making mistakes or like embarrass themselves. But it's so hard to learn a new language and it's so cool to be able to do it. And you can only do it if you keep on practicing. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think that everyone is always so appreciative of you trying to speak their language. That's
Yeah.
why everyone is always helpful and wants to help you like to be better. And I mean, we would do the same if we meet someone and the person tries to speak German. We always support each other and maybe speak slower and help them out. So I think, of course, it's natural. We don't want to do mistakes, but learning a new language is just hard and you
Yeah.
need practice and you
Yeah.
won't be perfect in the beginning. And I think it's so important for everything you do in life. Always be ready to be a beginner again and always be
Yes.
ready to be bad at something. So you actually learn because, yeah, I do the same in Spanish at the moment and I'm super bad, but
Yeah.
I just try.
Awesome. So good. I tried to, yeah, I had Spanish in school, but I kind of gave up after some time. Like that's the thing, if you don't use it, it disappears kind of. But you are traveling a lot, so you need probably those languages like Spanish or wherever your next destination is. So which leads kind of to the next topic we want to talk about. It's traveling alone because Yvonne travels a lot alone, but you are never alone anyway because you always meet new people. So that's always what I say when people say that they're afraid of traveling alone. You are never alone because there are other people who are traveling as well. And it is like a big step out of your comfort zone. But yeah, tell us a little bit about your journey with traveling alone and what you love most about it, maybe, or yeah.
Yeah, maybe how do I even begin? So what many people don't really know is that I'm always scared. So whenever I go somewhere, I'm always scared. Or like the day before, I'm like, oh my God, what have I gotten myself into? So
Mm.
it's not like I'm going there just because I have tons of experience in solo traveling, be like, yeah, I'm super cool. I got this. No, I'm like shitting my pants. I'm on the plane and I'm like, okay, you can do this. You can do this. So what helps me a lot before is to actually have a plan. So I know which hostel I go to in the first couple of days. I know who's gonna pick me up for the first couple of days. And to be honest, I don't save on those $10 anymore to find public transport in the middle of the night in a country where you've never been.
Yeah.
So that's basically my biggest tip to you as well.
Yeah.
But The first time I actually tried solo traveling, and I don't mean in terms of like doing a high school year or doing work and travel, or like I call it the big long-term travels where you basically live in a different country, but where you actually go backpacking.
Yeah.
I went to Lisbon and I hated it.
Oh,
I literally loved Lisbon. It's such a beautiful, beautiful city. But yeah, my friends went home and I had like, I think 5 days on my own. I was like, yes, let's take a list. This is gonna be so cool. Yeah, well, it was not. Like the first half an hour, I was so annoyed. I was like, okay, how am I going to meet people? How do I spend my time? Why is
yeah.
everyone watching me? So like those, I would call it typical thoughts that go through your mind, right?
Yeah.
And then it didn't take long. I was sitting in the hostel and Ben showed up. So Ben is from Australia.
Yeah. So you click.
And we clicked right away because every normal person would call him Ben. But
Yeah.
of course, in Kiwi, you say, hey, Ben.
Yeah.
It's, yeah, well, we hit it off right away. We had a
Yeah.
really, really good time. And what they do in Lisbon, which I enjoyed a lot, is that they do family dinners. So you pay $10 in the hostel and you have dinner with everyone together. And it's such a nice way to meet people. So you literally just, you think you're alone, but then you meet so many people from all around the world and you spend a beautiful night and everyone is just like, oh, so we're going on a pub crawl, you want to join? Or we're going to a rooftop bar. And everyone is super kind and open-minded because so many people are alone and they don't want to be alone, of course. So
Yeah.
everyone invites you out. It would never be like, oh, we're already a group of four, you can't join. Everyone would always try their best to include you. So yeah, if you're scared, don't be scared. It's gonna
Yeah.
be good.
I can so relate to that because you said something like, oh, like, why is everyone watching at me? So, or staring at me. I had the same feeling when I got back to New Zealand 2019 and I did a bit of traveling. You feel like when you walk in a new hostel or backpackers, you feel like everyone knows each other and you're walking in and they're all staring at you, but it's not how it is. Like everyone is feeling the same, like everyone was in your position before, and you just have to be. You just have to get over this first step and maybe start talking to someone or just get over your out of your comfort zone. And then, like you said, you have beautiful experience. You go fishing, not fishing, you go maybe fishing, but or you go surfing with people you just recently met, or the next day you hire some bikes and go on a bike tour with people you haven't met before. And also, like you said, they would never say no, we are a full group, or like because they're all here for adventure. And I think that's like one of the most beautiful things about traveling alone, that you always meet new people and maybe they become your best friend for the next week and you do things together, and then you go a different path and you stay in contact forever, or even if you don't stay in contact, that's fine, you had like an amazing time together and then you move on. So yeah.
Yeah, maybe what helps the most when getting in touch with people is literally just send out a smile, because a smile goes a long way and people realize right away, oh, okay, that person is open-minded. Let's have some eye contact. Oh my God, we're friends right away.
Yeah.
Of course, if you come into a room and you have your book because you're shy, or you're like with your
Phone.
phone, of course, everyone thinks you don't really want to interact
Yeah.
because you're busy on your own, right?
Yeah.
But usually you can literally just go to a table and be like, hey, is this seat taken? Or can I sit with you? And everyone will be like, yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Hi.
Yeah.
So
I
that's
think
really, really beautiful.
Yeah, I think that's all. Yeah, that's what I feel as well. And I think the good thing is as well, people will also accept if you just want to have me time. So if you just sit there with your book, I think that's just the nice thing about traveling alone as well. You can take time for yourself if you want to. I mean, it should be the same when you're traveling with friends, but I feel like when you are in a group of friends, you always think you have to socialize or something, which you
Yeah.
don't have to. And I'm quite happy. I went on a trip like last year with my boyfriend, his friend, and his girlfriend, like for a group, and I was like, I think I'm just gonna go for a walk by myself. Like I just really needed my me time. So I think it was a bit weird for them, but I felt so good afterwards. And I think in a backpack, I guess it's the same. Like you can socialize if you want to, and if you want to meet new people, you just have to be open-minded. But you can also, if you want to, just grab your book and read for like an hour or whatever. So
Yeah.
yeah. And
I
everyone
think the hardest part is saying no in the end, because everyone would always be like, "Oh, you want to come?" And you're like, "Oh, my inner FOMO is kicking. Yes, I gotta go. Of course, I'm
yeah,
gonna come." But
yeah,
in the end, of course, you need those days off and you need
yeah.
some time for yourself. Like otherwise, it's gonna hit back at some stage.
Yeah, because you also get so many new experiences. I feel like that's as well when I traveled around, it's you do so much. You're like, you meet new people and you need some time to reflect or to even think about, oh, what happened the last week? Like, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I actually had that once when I was on my solo world trip,
Yeah.
and I was already traveling for 5 months, and I know this is like speaking from a super privileged situation that we get to travel so much, but I got to a point where I was literally travel burned out. Like I
Yeah.
couldn't move, I couldn't appreciate anything anymore. I was in Bali. I was actually at Gili Air, and I
Yeah.
didn't do a thing. Like I literally didn't do anything. Of course, I mean, there's not too much to do on that island
Yeah.
either, but I didn't go out. I didn't really want to talk to anyone. I was so tired, and I realized like I didn't actually use the time to like comprehend anything or like to process anything that I had experienced for over 5 months. And I was just like rushing from one point to the other,
Yeah.
never taking the time for myself, working in between because I was already working as a travel blogger back then. And it just hit in the end. So if you ever travel long term, well, not even not only long term, but like always take time for yourself to process. It's so important.
Yeah, I so feel you. Like when I just even then when I traveled to Europe and saw friends and family again, and then like every day something was happening, and then Jules and I went traveling for 3 weeks. We came back to Germany, and then every day was something happening. I felt like so overwhelmed, like exactly like you just don't want to do anything. You just want to crawl in your hole, watch Netflix, or just oh, I feel this, and I think this is so important to really like reflect or like take a step back and be like, okay, maybe I just have to chill today and like go through like the memories or like because otherwise it's like bam, bam, bam. And you just said earlier, it's so privileged to say, for example, you're traveling for 5 months. I just want to say that, I mean, I understand the comment because I was the same with going overseas and stuff. And it's so privileged to say because I felt so exhausted being in a new city and trying to figure out, okay, where's the supermarket? Where are we going to have breakfast? It sounds, when you're telling this to someone, it sounds so like such a problem to have. Like it's not a problem, you're traveling, it shouldn't be a problem, but it is exhausting and it is like a lot of new experiences. And also like traveling for 5 months, I wouldn't say like it's a privilege because you worked so hard on this to do this, like, and you made the decision, okay, I'm going to do this, I want to do this in my life, I'm going to put the hard work in and I'm going to go and travel. Whereas others just stay in their comfort zone and they just stay in their job and they want to do what you want to do. And they say it's such a privilege that you can do that. But actually, no, you put the work in to be able to do this, to be able to work while you're traveling, which is really exhausting. And I think it's underestimated as well that you try to fit this in between your adventures. And for some people, it might look like a privilege, but you put so much hard work in and you deserve this. And yeah. So,
That's great.
um, awesome. Maybe we get into making decisions, like
Yes. You
listening.
have to make a lot when you're traveling alone.
Yeah, yeah,
Cons.
and you are really in, or like listening to what you want. And we talked about it before we started the episode. And I asked you about how can you make sure you make the right decision. You said for you, it's so clear. You so know because you're so connected with what you want or like your values or like what's important to you. So for you, it's just so easy. Okay, I'm going to do this. Like you're really into intuition, like listening to your inner voice or like inner self. But you said earlier as well, it's so hard to say no, or like when you're in a hostel or backpackers and people ask you, let's do this and that. When do you realize, okay, I really have to listen to what I want, or you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's super interesting because I could spend 3 hours in front of my closet and be like, am I wearing a red t-shirt or am I wearing a white t-shirt? But if it's anything related to making a huge life decision, I just know. Like I don't I like it's super weird. Like I think about it for a month, but it just sits with me and
Yeah,
I listen to my guts.
yeah,
And usually they tell me the right way. And then I let it sit for a little bit, but sometimes I know right away. I'm
oh,
like, yeah, so this is a good decision. Let's quit my job, travel to Central America, and move to Hamburg. Well, COVID happened, but
oh,
I'm in Hamburg. It was a great decision.
yeah,
But yeah, so when you're in a group and people say, hey, would you like to go out and stuff? It's something I really needed to learn because, of course, we also live in, I would call it a hustle culture. And it's sometimes hard to make a step back and be like, okay, you don't need to hustle all the time. It's super
yeah,
important to have that break. And I actually learned that while COVID, because of course, an external factor kind of forced me to stay put
yeah,
and to not do anything because I mean, I had just quit my job. I couldn't travel to Central America.
yeah,
So I literally had to stay put. And usually I'm that type of person. I'm always out. Um, I'm like socializing or doing sports or I
yeah,
don't know, just going for experiences. So it was actually quite healing for me. And that's when I realized, okay, I don't always need to be part of the experience. So when I had that while I was traveling the world, I don't have that anymore, which is actually amazing.
that's so
Because,
good,
yeah, it's
awesome,
nice.
yeah. I feel like you made a good point with like the hustling, like we're living in a society where people aren't always hustling, or like I think it's the same with social media. You see people always doing these great experience, traveling around. I now know, and you as well, like when we see this, we maybe even think, oh my gosh, this must be so exhausting, or I hope they take time for themselves, or like we also know the other side, and we know that also social media is not always true what you see. I always try to keep it real and post other stuff too, or like the behind the scenes. Um, but it's just such a good reminder. It is not about like you have to do this, this, and that, like hustle, hustle, hustle. So you can also take a step back. And I think COVID in that way was a good thing that we can like slow down a bit. Yeah.
Yeah, so in terms of that, I'm currently on a social media break, or better, like on an Instagram break.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm a social media manager. I should be on social media, right? But at the end of the day, you need to listen to your voice within. And if it tells you, okay, you're super stressed out, you need to take a step back. Um, and that's when you got to do it. Because I mean, every break is so important for your mental health, for your health, but also I'm a super creative person. And what I always realize is when I'm too much on social media, I lose my sense of creativity and productivity, and it's just gone. And I mean, I do photography and I love writing. And when I kind of lose that, I'm like, okay, stop. You need a
Yeah.
break.
Something's
And
wrong. Yeah.
something is wrong. Yes. And I sometimes feel like that's when you get too much information from the outside, and too, not only like information, but also you see too much, you compare too much. And yeah, so it's always good to like rethink that for a moment when you're like scrolling in between and be like, okay, well, I've already been on my phone for 2 hours. Maybe I don't need to watch another meme. It's okay.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And I feel like once you realize, or like, I think when you scroll, especially now that there are reels on Instagram with the endless scroll, like TikTok,
Yeah.
I sometimes just realize, well, this is not really bringing me any further, or like, this is not giving me anything. I should just stop. Like, there's nothing valuable. I'd rather go for a walk or just chill, write in my journal. And like, because the outside world, there's so much, we have so much information every day. And I think that's why a lot of people struggle with, because I know that some girls that are following me are scared of traveling alone. And I think that's like one of the reasons is because we always have this information from the outside. We're always connected. We can always ask friends for advice, family for advice, which is fine and good to ask people for advice, but we are so disconnected from ourselves, from ourselves, that that's probably what's holding us back from taking the step of traveling alone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. But to be fair, if I would have listened to anyone, I would have not seen anything in the world.
Yeah.
Because of course, other people always put their fears on you. And when you're younger, or it doesn't even like has anything to do with age, but when you don't realize this, you actually think it's true. And you're like, oh, so you've been there. No, I haven't, but I'm sure it's like that. They're like, hang on, there must be something wrong.
Yeah. Oh my gosh,
um,
yes.
I think other people will always, it's not always just fears. I think it's also insecurities, or I mean, it usually doesn't have anything to do with you.
Yeah.
So once you realize that, you know that of course everyone can have an opinion, but if you want to travel to, I don't know, New Zealand, just go for it if you
Yeah.
can. And like,
Yeah.
um, yeah, I think it's sometimes hard to not listen to it, but you will regret it if you do, because yeah, travel gives you a lot of power, and I think also self-confidence, because what I've realized is, well, not only realized, but usually what always happens is it's all in your head, and it's not at all from what you expected. So
Yeah.
every country I've been to, everything I heard before, or like the expectations I had, they weren't met. Like
Yeah.
never.
Yeah.
It's always been completely different.
And I think another great thing is as well when you travel alone, you are just responsible for yourself, or like you have to make the decision, which is scary on the one side. Like if you always, let's say, if you lived in a flat with heaps of people, or like a few people, or like always hang out with friends, partner, when you're by yourself, you have to make the decision. And it might feel a bit weird in the start, but it actually feels also so freeing. Like you can just do what you feel like. Yeah.
Yes, so true. And I think what it also gives to you, like, because making good decisions and making decisions in like an instant, especially when it's needed, is so valuable for your life, and is so valuable for your job, and like anything where you need to make a decision,
Yeah.
because you realize, okay, I'm capable of this. I can count on myself. And if it doesn't work out, oh well, then I do a different way. So of course, you not only learn how to make better decisions, but also to be like more resilient with everything. Because if a problem arises, well, I'm going to look for a solution,
Yeah.
because when you travel, that's literally what you need to do, because you're on your own. You can't just be like, hey, mom,
Yeah.
I don't know where to go. Could you let me know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So good. And like you said, like with decisions, I mean, you can make good decisions or bad decisions, but you learn from them. Like it will all get you to where you have to be, or like you just grow out of like bad decisions or like the wrong decisions. I truly think there are no wrong decisions. Like each decision we make will bring us to the end goal, because we can always like try to find a solution. And yeah.
Definitely. I mean, I wouldn't, of course, I wouldn't say unsafe decisions. So
Oh,
if you
yes.
see like a dark alleyway, don't go in, like just don't.
Yeah.
Not
Yes.
always, of course. But I mean, it might be a stupid example, but I think you know what I mean. Like trust your guts when it comes to anything. Travel is super safe if you're being safe. So yeah, just trust your guts.
Awesome. Maybe to sum this all up, or you kind of said it just then, but what advice would you give someone who really wants to travel to Australia, New Zealand, somewhere in Europe, somewhere in America, but is scared to travel alone and also just scared to do the first step? Do you have like a tip?
Well, I would say don't wait for anyone if you have a time frame and you would like to do it at a certain point, and also just do it.
Yeah.
So don't overthink it, don't read too much about it, and if you feel safer, make yourself a little plan. And also what helped me, especially in the beginning, is like you don't need to do everything at the first time when you're on the trip. So like if you want to know how it is to be like solo traveling, just hop on the train and go to a different city and see the city for the day. And you can already be like, okay, see how this is. But it's just like with anything else, you got to get used to it. And it takes some time to get used to the moment and the situations you're going to face when you're alone. Because, of course, it's not lonely, but there can be lonely times. And it's always good to be prepared to know how to sit in a feeling and to already kind of know what to expect. So if you're super scared, how about a date with yourself? And you just take yourself on a little concert date or yeah, something like that. Go to the movies on your own and just enjoy it.
Oh, awesome. Love that. That's such a good advice. Cool. Well, thank you for joining me today. I'm super excited to
Thanks
edit
for
this
having me.
episode. And I'm sure we will do more in the future. I'm happy to talk about more in the future. So, yes, thank you.
Thank you so much for having me, Johanna.
Okay.
Well, of course, what I need to say,
Yeah.
if anyone wants travel advice, just send me a message or
Yeah.
contact me. Of
I'm
course, I'm on
gonna
a social media break, but you can always contact me.
Awesome. I'm going to put all your links in the show notes so people can find you there, like even your Instagram in case you stop your break, but also your website. Yvonne has heaps of travel tips on her website, solo traveling. You can see all the countries she's been through. I actually asked her that in the start, how many countries maybe you want to add this year, how many countries you solo traveled or.
um, Well, I've traveled to 31 countries, but not all have been solo. So
Yeah.
I sometimes travel with friends or my mum. And yeah, so I would say maybe half of them was solo traveling, but not all of it. And well, what counts in the end is the countless experiences you make. So yeah, try
Exactly.
not to count many countries.
Yeah, exactly. It's about the experience you make. Cool. Awesome. Then talk soon.
Bye.
Well, that does it for this episode. Thank you guys so much for listening and tuning in today. If you like this episode and don't want to miss any new ones, make sure you hit the subscribe button. Feel free to share it with your friends or on social media. It really means a lot to me. It will help me to create this podcast. You can find me on Instagram, Johanna_Liana. I'm always happy to connect, so flick me a message if you want. Enjoy the rest of your day, and always remember, it's a beautiful day to have a good day. It's a beautiful day to be alive.